MSW Media.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Friday, November 21st, 2025. Today, Donald Trump calls for the execution of members of Congress who served in the military after they issued a public service announcement to the military. The government's case against Kilmar Abrego Garcia could be falling apart after an evidentiary hearing. Details about an investigation into the finances of Jeffrey Epstein exposed J.P. Morgan Chase. The retailer Target may have hit rock bottom. The House unanimously passed a bill to strip the Senate phone investigations provision from the funding bill. The Department of Justice has dropped the charges against a woman they claim assaulted a federal agent. Republican Dan Crenshaw has been hit with an international travel ban after a drinking incident. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals has blocked the release of those 615 detainees from the Broadview ICE facility pending a December hearing. A federal judge has ruled the deployment of the National Guard in D.C. was illegal. And today is Transgender Day of Remembrance. I'm Allison Gill.
And I'm Dana Goldberg.
Well, another record number of headlines day. How are you today, my friend?
I am doing okay. You know, it's been a somber day for those of us that are really thinking about our trans non-binary community that have lost their lives due to the lies and the violence that has been directed at them. So, you know, it is one of those days that's a little bit hard, even though we are, quote unquote, celebrating that or bringing awareness to it online. Mm-hmm. The numbers are horrifying. They're horrifying. So there's some heaviness in my heart. But other than that, I'm trying to stay grounded and continue to do what we need to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And to all of our friends, transgender, non-binary, and all the LGBTQ plus community that's listening, we want you to know we see you and we love you. And I mean, to think about all of the violence and we know the root cause of it. Right?
Yeah,
we know
that's the hardest thing is this is avoidable. This is avoidable.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic that's avoidable.
All of it. Yeah, for sure. Also, today is Friday, so it's Fugelsang Friday here in the Beans. So we're going to talk to John Fugelsang later in the show. And as you heard at the outset of the introduction, it is a big news day, and so we have a lot to cover. So first, we're going to do some quick hits.
And to make a long story short,
all right, first up in the Abrego Garcia case, there was some crazy stuff that went on in the courtroom today in Greenbelt, Maryland, including the government admitting that there is actually no deportation order for Abrego Garcia.
Wow.
Yeah. And, that means that they're probably holding him in a punitive way, which is against a Supreme Court precedent. And it came out in court today that one of the guys who wrote a declaration about deporting Mr. Abrego to Liberia, actually, he admitted he didn't write the declaration he signed, that one of the paragraphs was written by a Department of State lawyer, and he didn't understand many of the words in it, even though he signed it. So I went over all of that with Adam Klasfeld from All Rise News over on our Substack. You can check that out. You can check out our conversation by heading to MullerSheWrote.com. So it's we're just kind of on a countdown to see if he gets released pending his quote unquote trial that starts in January.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Allison. This one's from ABC. The House on Wednesday unanimously passed a measure to repeal controversial language in the government funding bill that allows senators to sue the government if their phones are investigated without their knowledge. This is what we were so pissed about. And a lot of other Republicans didn't know it was in there either because they didn't read the fucking thing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune earlier Wednesday continued to be non-committal about what the Senate's going to do after the House acts.
I can't believe they passed it unanimously in the House. I was not expecting that.
I was not either.
I have been saying I doubt that Mike Johnson will even take up the measure, but they passed it. So,
I mean, it's really hard if you don't have unanimous against it, because otherwise, if you're the douchebag that's like, I support this, we're like, maybe we should see your phone.
Yeah, if you're the Clay Higgins, right?
Exactly.
of the bunch. But even maybe he wasn't there today. I don't know. Anyway, the Department of Justice has also moved to drop the charges against Marimar Martinez and Ian Santos Ruiz after the Department of Homeland Security claimed they rammed ICE vehicles after boxing them in. Now, this is the case, Dana, where the Customs and Border Protection agent actually rammed her car and then drew his gun and said, "Do something, bitch," and then fired 5 shots at her. Remember this one? And then he bragged later about it in text messages to his buddies, saying something about 5 shots and she has 7 holes. So the DOJ has dropped the charges against her. Incidentally, that incident is what the Trump administration uses as an argument, its central argument to justify to the Supreme Court the deployment of the National Guard to Chicago. And now I have to wonder if they knew that they were lying to the Supreme Court in their justification of the deployment of the Guard.
Very fair question.
Yeah, geez. So I'm very glad that Ms. Martinez and Mr. Ruiz have had the charges against them dropped. They were baseless to begin with.
Yeah, and we've been covering this a lot about Chicago, the Midway Blitz. In the case of those 615 detainees ordered released from the Broadview ICE facility in Chicago, the Seventh Circuit has temporarily blocked their release and scheduled a hearing for the government's appeal for December 2nd. This is a temporary administrative stay, and the arguments scheduled for December 2nd are about whether to issue a more permanent stay pending appeals. So this is delay on the government's part. And unfortunately, it's human beings that are paying the price and being held unconstitutionally.
Yeah, agreed. And it's interesting that the hearing in December is about whether to more permanently block it and not the actual merits of the case. Next up from Politico, a federal judge ruled Thursday that Trump's deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to D.C. was illegal.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he lacks the authority to send troops for the deterrence of crime. U.S. District Judge Gia Cobb said that while Trump may be the commander-in-chief of the Guard, his power is constrained by federal laws that limit how those troops can be federalized and deployed, particularly in D.C., which is controlled by Congress. It's a little bit different than when we talk about the deployment of the Guard to Portland or Chicago, for example. And I think we'll have a case in Memphis as well. But you know, it's not legal. You can't do it for the deterrence of crime. And what's I think more important to remember here is when Stephen Miller, Nosferatu, says that the Trump administration has plenary power, unchecked, unreviewable power to deploy the National Guard. Judge after judge after judge is saying it's at least reviewable.
Yeah. And that was a big Freudian slip when that came out on national television.
Remember? He's like,
oh, he
blink,
froze.
Blink,
oh, yeah.
Blink.
They were
blink,
like,
blink.
Steve, are you okay? Stephen, did we lose you?
Hello?
You sure did.
Stephen?
All right. This is what we were talking about at the top of the hour, everyone. This is from GLAAD with 2 A's, by the way. It's the Transgender Day of Remembrance, TDOR. It was started in 1999 by transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith as a vigil to honor the memory of Rita Hester, a transgender woman who was killed in 1998. The vigil commemorated all the transgender people lost to violence since Rita Hester's death and began an important tradition that has become the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. And I quote, "Transgender Day of Remembrance seeks to highlight the losses we face due to anti-transgender bigotry and violence. I am no stranger to the need to fight for our rights, and the right to simply exist is first and foremost. With so many seeking to erase transgender people, sometimes in the most brutal ways possible, it's vitally important that those we lose are remembered and that we continue to fight for the justice." Mm. And it's the same thing as saying their names when our innocent Black people get shot by police in the streets, when our transgender brothers and sisters and our family gets killed truly for no reason other than bigotry and hate. It is important to remember their names and say them out loud. Mm. There's a lot of different organizations that actually do a running tally and a list so that these names can be seen and found. But I wish it would stop. So as we said at the top of the hour, and right now we have a lot of people that listen that have transgender, non-binary children. We have a lot of people who identify as trans or non-binary in our community and our Beans family. And just know that we love you and we are holding you close to our hearts, especially on a day like this.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much for that. And thanks to GLAAD for writing that up. Everybody, we have more news to get to. So we're going to take a quick break first, and then we'll come back with the hot notes. Stick around. We'll be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, this holiday season, I'm channeling my inner Gordon Ramsay, minus the shouting, if I'm being honest. But Home Chef has teamed up with Chef Ramsay to bring 5-star stress-free recipes to my kitchen. My kitchen, 5-star recipes. So between school nights, work nights, rehearsals, deadlines, cooking like a pro has never been easier. Real flavor, clear steps, zero panic. Home Chef is rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering you 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/dailybeans. Now, Home Chef keeps cooking simple. I love that. Fresh ingredients delivered, easy to follow recipes, meals that actually taste good. And now the menu includes Gordon Ramsay's exclusive recipes, so 5-star dinners feel doable any night of the week. Choose his co-branded dishes across the culinary collection, classic meal kits, and express options, which are my favorite. Everything is designed to make you feel like a chef at home, with clear steps and smart prep. Ingredients arrive pre-portioned and labeled, ready for the skillet. Turn on music, follow the card, and plate something you're proud of without any stress. So cleanup stays minimal too, and timing actually matches real life, so you can exhale. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering you 50% off and free shipping on your first box, plus free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/dailybeans. That's homechef.com/dailybeans for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's time for the Hot Notes. Hot Notes. All right, first up from the Times, Trump accused a group of Democratic lawmakers of sedition in an outburst on social media Thursday morning and said their behavior was, quote, punishable by death. Their crime? Recording a video that reminded members of the military that they're not supposed to obey illegal orders. Quote, seditious behavior punishable by death. That's what Trump wrote in a post. He shared a different post written by another person that said, hang them, George Washington would. The video that enraged the president had been put out online 2 days ago by 6 Democratic lawmakers, all of whom have served either in the military or the intelligence community themselves. One, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, served in the Navy and is a former astronaut. He said, quote, our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. Another participant, Representative Chris DeLuzio of Pennsylvania, who also served in the Navy, you must refuse illegal orders, he said. The Democratic lawmakers' message did not focus on a specific order or specific scenario, but Trump administration officials have said the lawmakers were encouraging the military to rebel against its commander-in-chief. Yeah, only if he's giving illegal orders.
Exactly.
The 6 Democrats who produced the video put out a joint statement, which read in part, quote, what's most telling is that the president considers it punishable by death for us to restate the law. Our service members should know that we have their backs as they fulfill their oath to the Constitution and obligation to follow only lawful orders. It is not only the right thing to do, but it's also our duty.
The response to that video is exactly why that statement needed to be said.
Yeah, and John Fugelsang and I talk about this a little bit later, but that's the first thing that everybody sent me this morning was Trump calling for the execution of members of Congress.
Yep.
Oh, anyway, any other timeline?
Oh God, he would. Yeah, absolutely. We can't even hold that right now. We can't even say on any other timeline. It's just because it's unprecedented. We've gone way past.
Well, yeah, we're in Biff's Paradise timeline.
Yeah. Ugh. Sorry, everybody. All right, we're going to keep going though. This one's from the Times. The top Democrat on the Senate Financial Committee issued a report on Thursday calling for an investigation into whether J.P. Morgan Chase deliberately underreported more than $1 billion in suspicious transactions by Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not calling him what they put this here. He's the convicted sex offender. The report from the Senator, Ron Wyden of Oregon, said the compliance failures by the nation's largest bank during its nearly 15-year relationship with Mr. Epstein were alarming and impeded law enforcement's ability to examine the financial infrastructure that enabled Epstein's cross-border sex trafficking organization. The report, based on recently unsealed court records that shed more light on J.P. Morgan's financial dealings with Mr. Epstein, focuses on suspicious activity reports, or SARs, which banks are required to file with the Treasury Department when they suspect a financial transaction may be involved in illicit activities such as, money laundering, terrorism, or sex trafficking. We got 2 out of 3 there, I'm pretty sure. The report said JP Morgan filed suspicious activity reports covering 4.3 million in transactions by Epstein from 2002 to 2016, but it waited until after Mr. Epstein's arrest on sex trafficking charges in 2019 and subsequent death to file reports that described some 1.3 billion in transactions as suspicious. Why do it then? Maybe because he's not around to tell, you know what I mean? To tell exactly who was involved in this?
They waited, so they knew about the 2008 thing.
Yep.
And they didn't even make suspicious activity reports until 2019. My God.
Yeah. Now, internal bank emails suggest JP Morgan may have waited to file those reports because it wanted to, and I quote, continue working with Epstein as a source of referrals for business, even after firing him as a client in 2013. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
Mr. Wyden, in a statement, said it was clear that JP Morgan Chase ought to face criminal investigation for the way it enabled Epstein's horrific crimes. The report said both Congress and the Justice Department should investigate the bank. I agree. I also believe they should investigate Deutsche Bank, but who am I? Just a podcast co-host.
Just a pod. Yeah, just don't be surprised if some JP Morgan and Chase executives from that time period, I don't know, fall out fourth floor windows. I know. Keep an eye. Next up from Raw Story, Representative Dan Crenshaw was banned from international congressional travel for 3 months following an alcohol incident during a delegation trip to Mexico, according to Punchbowl News. Quote, during an August trip to Mexico, Crenshaw was having drinks with a group of Mexican officials. That's from Andrew Desiderio at Punchbowl News. One Mexican official cracked a crude joke that made a woman present uncomfortable, but Crenshaw toasted the remarks. In September, after the trip concluded, Crenshaw met with House Speaker Mike Johnson and House Intelligence Committee Chair Rick Crawford for a heated discussion, according to Desiderio, who added that, quote, Crawford banned Crenshaw from traveling as part of his Intelligence Committee duties, a decision that the chair saw as being authorized by the GOP leadership. Now, this came at a moment when Crenshaw was already at odds with Crawford, disagreeing with his proposed counterintelligence reforms that were ultimately tacked on to the yearly intelligence authorization bill. Crawford, in turn, was angry Crenshaw didn't back his proposal. I thought women were too emotional.
Aren't they? They really are.
To be in leadership positions. According to the report, Crenshaw actually asked Mike Johnson to strip Crenshaw of his Intelligence Committee assignment altogether after the drinking incident. Johnson didn't do that, but he did shut down Crenshaw's cartel task force within the committee. All of this is emerging as Crenshaw, who is already disliked by a number of far-right Trump activists, even while he tries to maintain a good relationship with the White House, inadvertently undermined the president's justification for military strikes on boats in international waters, believed by the administration to be carrying drug traffickers. So this is what this is about. I mean, what Republican hasn't made crude women comments while drinking abroad? This one just happens to be against the murderous boat strikes in the Caribbean.
Yep. So he's got a price to pay. All right. This one's from CNN. Target's problems seem to be intensifying. And the latest signal of trouble for the company, it reported sales had dropped during the last quarter, and Target cut its full year profit guidance Wednesday. The company's sales have stagnated for about 4 years. And Target said last month that it would cut 1,000 corporate employees. That's roughly 8% of the global workforce. Target is betting that a new CEO and investments can spark a turnaround at the company.
No.
But Wednesday's quarterly financial report showed that there's no quick fix to Target's challenges, probably because it wasn't the fucking CEO that was necessarily the problem. It was the capitulation to Trump and getting rid of the DEI initiatives, even though they use diversity, equity, and inclusion in every goddamn commercial I've ever seen from Target. Target has proven over and over it's just poorly positioned to succeed in this uneven economy, selling the wrong mix of items for an increasingly frugal customer. I'm not sure that's the problem
That's
either.
not it either.
Yeah, Target specializes in cheap chic clothing and home decor. Who wrote this? Decorations?
CNN.
But fewer customers believe they can find the best prices and deals there. Target stock slipped 1% during pre-market trading Wednesday. Shares have tumbled roughly 35% this year. That's because of the anti-DEI initiatives.
Well, CNN's not going to put that in there. They're trying to get bought out by Skydance right now and Paramount.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna bring you the news, but we're also gonna tell you when we think it's fucking wrong.
Yeah. So even though the purchase of Warner Brothers by Skydance Paramount is full of DEI, including bringing in investors from Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar.
Yep.
That doesn't trickle down to the rest of us. So, my God. All right. One other thing happened today that I just have to bring up really quick. Do you remember the old meme? This is from like a decade ago when somebody put out a poll, a joking poll, saying, would you agree that children in school should learn Arabic numerals?
Yes.
And it was like 70% of the people said no, because our numbers are Arabic. Yeah, that's what they are. Laura Loomer fell for it today. Some fucking troglodyte falls for it every year, and they have for decades. But somebody posted, kind of in a joking manner, that Mom Donnie was going to require Arabic numerals to be taught in schools, and Laura Loomer flipped out on Twitter over it, and it's just so embarrassing, Dana.
I love that. There's just gone all over the internet. I have friends, high school friends, where they're like, Mom Donnie wants kids to learn Arabic, and everyone's like, well, my kids are old enough, they're out of school, so it doesn't affect me. And I was like, oh my God, but what school did they go to?
These are the people who can still be rickrolled.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it's fine. If you don't understand Arabic numerals and you don't get the joke, great. But this joke has been going around the internet since the internet. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, everybody. We've got some good news. But first, we're going to talk to John Fugelsang for Fugelsang Fridays here on The Bean. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, it's holiday time, and it's time to talk about my favorite subscription service, Naked Wines. So get ready for a nice fire, an ugly sweater or two, playing Whamageddon 2025, and a delicious bottle of wine to share with friends and family. Naked Wines is my secret to hosting the best parties during the holiday season with the best product from top wine sellers delivered right to my doorstep. Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers, so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. So let's thank Naked Wines for supporting our show. Go to nakedwines.com/dailybeans, use our code dailybeans for the code and the password, and you get this incredible deal of 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99. So few things make me happier than hosting my friends during the holidays, and I was recently able to share a bottle of Rod Eastope Level 185 Hawke's Bay Sauvy B. It's a Sauvignon Blanc 2023. It's a New Zealand wine, and it was awesome. It has sweet flavor, tropical fruits, topped with a bright splash of citrus. Perfect fit for the evening. Naked Wines has been at the top of the wine game for over 15 years now, and it helps fund over 90 independent winemakers. There's absolutely no commitments, no membership fees, pause, cancel anytime. You get the best wine without any of the hassle. So now's the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/dailybeans, click enter voucher, and put in my code dailybeans, all one word, for the code and the password, and you'll get 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. That is $100 off your first 6 bottles. That's nakedwines.com/dailybeans. Use the code and password dailybeans for 6 bottles of wine for $39.99. You'll be glad you did. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is Friday on the Daily Beans, which means it's Fugelsang Friday. So joining me is New York Times bestselling author of the book Separation of Church and Hate. He also hosts the SiriusXM Progress Channel 127 show called Tell Me Everything. That's weeknights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. And he also hosts the John Fugelsang Show podcast and writes for the John Fugelsang Substack. Please welcome my good friend, in case you haven't heard his name enough, John Fugelsang.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. It's nice to be with you for another slow news week. Thank you so much.
It's just so slow. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. We could talk about corn futures or,
we could talk about
the president threatening to execute members of Congress, or Mohammed Bonesaw being invited into the White House after dismembering a journalist.
Hey, listen. I'm not fancy. I can go with just traditional boring stuff like the greatest bipartisan humiliation in the history of Donald Trump's political career. I'm really happy just talking about the Epstein file. Yeah, I'm not bored of it. I'm not even distracted yet. I mean, he should threaten to murder more Democratic lawmakers because I'm still not distracted from Epstein. I don't know. He's trying really hard. Yeah, what a great week. Congratulations to everyone who celebrates Epstein Files Day. I want to just say these liberals, I've had it, Dr. Gill, with these liberals saying Donald Trump did a 180. That is a lie. That is a liberal hoax. That is fake news. The reality is Donald Trump did a perfect 360. Okay, liberals, it's not my fault you lefties can't count. He did a 180 last year or earlier this year when he went from saying, I'll release the Epstein files to then being against releasing the Epstein files. And that's strange, isn't it? I mean, because he's so innocent. I mean, if Trump had nothing to hide, he would have released them on day one, right after he ended the Ukraine war. But of course, the only thing Donald Trump releases immediately is gas. So now he's flipped again because he was forced to by leftist heroes Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert.
And Massey,
he literally could not keep control of the caucus and literally was forced into this position because all but one, 427 to 1, Allison. 400. That's more popular than Christmas and puppies. 427 to 1. We cannot overstate how humiliating this has been for Trump. And I mean, this guy has been fighting to bury these files like they're his ex on a golf course. But the House GOP last week, they leaked enough emails, and that's what scared him. The Republicans put him in this position. We have to remember, before these files, they haven't even come out yet, but it was a week ago that the House Republicans released thousands of Epstein emails, which just escalated this entire thing. I mean, something's going on, and members of Congress know more than we do. This has been amazing to watch.
Yeah, and now it's all in the hands of one Pamela Jo Bondi to comply with the law, which has a lot of safeguards and guardrails in it, by the way, to prevent her from doing what we all expect her to do, which is to inappropriately redact and withhold these documents, whether it's for national security reasons or whether she claims that there's an open and ongoing investigation. There are multiple things written in this law that prevent her from inappropriately withholding any of this information. She's got 30 days to do it. And I'm wondering if we're going to see any Clay Higgins-sized redaction boxes in these files that are released, because he's the one holdout on all of this.
Clay Higgins. Clay Higgins is like, he's a man who looks like if a cloud of swamp gas became a racist sheriff's deputy. That's Clay Higgins. He was the guy who was too corrupt to remain a cop, and he was forced to go to Congress. He said releasing these files could harm innocent people. You know, like the way sunlight harms innocent bacteria. Well, you're exactly right. They're going to try any way they can to still block it. I mean, Trump was forced into this. Clearly, he doesn't want to release it.
And we know that because there's reports that he's very upset about Congress turning on him. You don't get upset.
And he's lied so much. So much. I mean, anytime Donald Trump says he has nothing to hide, you know, there's like a team of lawyers with defibrillators somewhere, right? Like, this was the greatest Republican defection of his life. He tried bribing Boebert with a Situation Room meeting. He tried threatening Nancy Mace's endorsement. He even unendorsed Marjorie Taylor Greene, called her a traitor, and now he went over to her side. I mean, that's how much this guy is getting beaten up on this. And they're going to try any way they can to delay this. I predict to you, Allison, this thing, the redactions, it's going to have more blackouts than my threesome with Liza Minnelli and Courtney Love. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to be nonstop blackouts. But the thing is, the more they block it, the more they hide, the longer this story stays in the news. Pam Bondi does not have the wisdom to rip this Band-Aid off in one fell swoop. They're going to try and still cheat this, and it's going to make this thing go on longer. It's going to make him look more and more guilty, and it's going to bleed into 2026.
Which is fine by me, because now we have a 14-point advantage in the general ballot for Democrats, despite Democrats having like the lowest approval rating as a party in modern history that I've seen.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
We have a 14-point advantage, which is, we haven't seen an advantage like that since 1 year before the midterm elections in 2018, when we took 40 seats in the House. So, you know, talk about going to Missouri to get a seat or two, get 5 seats in Texas, get another couple in Indiana. We beat you by 40 seats the last time we were up this much. So that is why.
That got shut down this week too. Yep.
That's why they're so frightened. And now we've got Miller and Trump calling members of Congress who are veterans, who served, who didn't defer the draft 5 times because of bone spurs. We have members of Congress just putting out a PSA reminding the military that they don't have to follow unlawful orders. And now we've got Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Caroline Leavitt saying that is sedition. It is punishable by death. And saying that these members of Congress should be brought to justice through hanging and execution. And that is, in any other timeline. Members of Congress, first of all, just members of Congress reminding the military they don't have to obey unlawful orders is mind-blowing. But then to have the president of the United States and his
freak out at that,
his deputy Nosferatu come out and say that's sedition is mind-blowing.
And yet it's not. And yet it's almost like the Democrats, led by Senator Mark Kelly, shrewdly decided this was going to be exactly what would happen. I mean, what other response could you have predicted Donald Trump and the minions would have to this beautiful video? That these, again, they're all vets. It's so smart. They set it up to have Donald Trump attacking veterans and to have Donald Trump attacking the concept of resisting an order that's illegal from the commander-in-chief. I mean, they played him like a foreign dictator in the Oval Office, and they didn't have to do it with flattery. It's simply brilliant. And of course, Donald Trump is a hero to millions of American Christians who really like the idea of killing people they don't like. That's the kind of Christianity we have here. If you're a Christian who likes, I don't know, killing people on death row or murdering foreign generals from countries that haven't attacked us, maybe you like killing unarmed people in boats off the coast of Venezuela. These are Christians who really like murder. And so Donald Trump is giving them exactly what they want. What he's not doing is shoring up the base in terms of veterans. There are military people who have been on the fence about Donald Trump for a very long time. And this is exactly what they need to witness.
Yeah, and it comes on the heels of him standing in front of a room full of 4-star generals and calling them fat asses.
Yeah, the Democrats' entire message needs to be accountability, the Constitution, the law. They're all coming back in January of 27. And this plays directly into that. They're the party of law and order, not the party of bribes and mayhem.
Yeah. And speaking of bribes and mayhem, we had a murderous dictator in the Oval Office this week. And Donald Trump lost his shit when reporters asked legitimate questions about 9/11 and the families of 9/11. When asked about the money that's been given to the Kushners, he got extremely upset in that Oval Office meeting with one Mohammed bin Salman, who we call Mohammed Bonesaw, dismembered Jamal Khashoggi. And then Donald Trump, who was required to release a report under the Magnitsky Act 120 days later, failed to do so, violating the Magnitsky Act. No one ever brought that huge violation of law up, but he did.
Exactly.
So there we are. We've got MBS in the Oval Office being congratulated.
Well, you left out a couple tiny details, including that Donald Trump's own CIA confirmed that MBS ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, who was a United States resident and wrote for the Washington Post, and that Donald Trump went straight to Bob Woodward and said, I saved his ass. Donald Trump bragged and used that language. I saved his ass to Bob. You know how hard it is to surprise Bob Woodward? This is from his book, The Trump Tapes, that he took a lot of heat for. But I mean, the Saudis and their Mideast regime allies, they understand this president can be played any way they want. I mean, Trump just announced that Saudi Arabia was investing $1 trillion in the U.S. The entire GDP of Saudi Arabia is only $1.25 trillion. Like, they're not investing their entire country in the U.S. This guy's a joke. And dictators who want unlimited power, they just need to throw a bone to a wannabe dictator who wants unlimited flattery. This whole thing was a support group for guys who get sexually aroused by torture and human rights violations. I mean, this was a gender reveal party for a war crime. Trump had 6 fighter jets flying overhead for this damn terrorist. And again, the CIA confirmed he ordered the murder. And Trump said, whether you like Khashoggi or didn't like him, things happen. I really want the Christians, in MAGA to take note of it. Things happen. That's like what normal people say about spilling your coffee, right? Like, this is the murder and dismemberment of a Washington Post columnist. And the U.S. intel community literally wrote to him in Times New Roman that he ordered it. There's no ambiguity here. And Trump loves this. He looked at him like a kid at Disney World looking up at Mickey Mouse. And then he attacked this woman because, again, he can't stand the truth and he can't stand women who say it out loud. But did you notice when she asked MBS about murdering the journalist and Trump jumps in and answers for him? It was like watching a guy order for his girlfriend on the first date. Like, this guy protects MBS harder than he protected us from COVID. the same day this is happening, we found out that the White House intervened on behalf of the Tate brothers during that federal investigation. So the same day Donald Trump is boasting that he's all for transparency with Epstein, he's literally covering up sex abuse for the Tates and covering up for this murdering thug. This is like just the world's dirtiest customer loyalty program.
Yeah, and it was Gracia who had to withdraw his nomination by Donald
Correct.
Trump because he said he was a Nazi. I have a Nazi streak in me. That's
right.
Gracia who was nominated to become the head of the Office of Special Counsel, which previously Trump had fired a man named Hampton Dellinger, who sued for wrongful termination. But Ingracia worked with the White House because the minute the Tate brothers landed in Fort Lauderdale, their phones were seized, and Ingracia and the White House got the investigators and the feds to give the devices back to the Tate brothers, intervened on their behalf. And that whole scene where Donald Trump was denigrating our intelligence community, our national security apparatus in front of MBS, in favor of MBS, reminded me of Helsinki in 2018 when he denigrated the entire U.S. intelligence community in favor of Vladimir Putin. He said he didn't do it. So I believe him.
Flipped around.
And by the way, that was just weeks after. That was just weeks after Jeffrey Epstein offered his services to the Russians to speak to them. If you need to know who Donald Trump is, talk to me first. And then he goes up and says that in Helsinki.
Listen, Helsinki is the greatest shameful moment of Donald Trump's whole life. And I include January 6th there. I mean, he came out at Helsinki and said that our intelligence is all wrong. I don't see why Putin wouldn't tell the truth. And then we forget 2 days later, back in America, he totally lied and talked to us like we were a dumb wife and said, I didn't say that. I said, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't have done it. Trump literally did a 180 off of that, and no one believed him, and he never tried to convince us again. Like, I have to ask you, there are career professionals in FBI, in CIA. There's spooks out there that still have their job or still in the loop. There's a lot of people in intelligence who've really got to have it in for this guy. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of the blowback is stuff that we will never hear because it's the intelligence community and because they keep so quiet.
Yeah. But I mean, when he goes, when he does finally leave us, he might not be going to heaven, but 10,000 NDAs will. So much is going to come out about him then. But what do you make, Dr. Gill, of the fact that before we even got the files, just to nudge him along, we had all of these emails leaked last weekend by Republicans. These emails we've already seen are so damaging. They state that Trump saw Epstein and spent Thanksgiving with him his first year in the presidency. And they very clearly state that even if Donald Trump wasn't involved in any child rape, he most certainly knew about it and made the choice to not pick up the phone and call the cops or do a thing to stop it. I mean, this was released by Republicans, Allison. I've talked to you a lot about how I feel like the oligarchs are cutting this guy loose. I mean, I feel like they're all just, the whole establishment is softening us up for this guy to have a really rough time. What do you make of the source for this information? Same
thing we've always made of this, right? He's outlived his usefulness to the oligarchs, to the broligarchy, the tech oligarchs.
They don't need him.
The Vances and Teals and Yarvins of the world who want to take over the White House as soon as Donald Trump is gone and want to take over the MAGA base. And we'll see how well that works out for them. Generally, when a cult leader is removed, however they're removed, the cult falls apart. They don't really survive past that. So it'll be interesting to see how these oligarchs try to pick up the pieces of a failed or gone leader and try to put it back together again, especially in the face of America waking up to the fact that it's not left versus right, it's top versus bottom.
Well, if America does realize that, I mean, I've never thought it was about conservative versus liberal. It's always been democracy versus aristocracy. But I mean, the play usually seems to be you have a Republican president this awful and corrosive, and you get rid of him, and then you bring in an extremely moderate Democrat who really attacks the incumbent, but promises incredible reform when they just mean modest improvement. Based on the last 50 years, it seems to be the oligarchs will pick the Democrat who gets in there. I'd like it to be a radical reformer. This is the best chance to try to have one of those happen. But let's focus on the midterms first, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the only time Democrats ever get the White House is after Republicans trash the place in my lifetime. I've never seen Democrats get in when things were going well.
No, true. And that's, again, why I'm so kind of interested in these polls, that even though the Democratic Party has its lowest approval rating that I've seen in a really long time, they've still got a 14% advantage on the general ballot.
Well, but you know why that is, right? I mean, why a generic Democrat? I'll be the first to say this party often fails to inspire. There's a lot of great people. We had a great election day, but yeah, a lot of them, it's Clark Kent without a phone booth. But when you look at the actual issues, 77% of us support a woman's right to choose or making her decisions about her body. 85% say that having a job is a right. 85% of independents think that government should negotiate drug prices. I mean, the majority of us support expanding Medicare to include vision, hearing, and dental, paid family leave, taxing the wealthy more, not putting people in jail for weed. The majority of us believe climate change is a real thing. We're not actually divided as a people. It's just the salespeople for the issues we want.
No, and what many people see as radical left reformers are actually moderate Democrats.
That's it. Know? That's it. Yeah. And so people want to have these policies happen. I mean, the Democrat who runs on expanding education and healthcare and taxing the rich their fair share, who really means it, because we've had 3 Democrats in a row promise that, and it's been, should it be 36% or 39%? How about just scare them with some Eisenhower level taxation rates and compensate with some JFK level taxation rates for the 1%? I mean, it's hard to imagine a guy or a woman like that ever getting the support of the people who own this country.
It's like they've never haggled at a swap meet before. You got to go high, you got to aim for the stars, and then bring it back down. It's the way that a negotiation generally works, and I think that what we're seeing here is that I think that the negativity reflected toward the Democratic Party is really reflected at a very small percentage of members of the Democratic Party who are what I would consider the donor class, who listen to their donors more than they listen to the people.
Yeah, or who are seen as just ineffectual or out of touch, and those people are cycling themselves out. I mean, look, there's a lot of 80-year-olds that I love in this Congress. Bonnie Watson-Coleman can say that till she's 90 as far as I'm concerned, but we have to remember that the Congress that sits down in 2027 January will look very different from the one that's there now.
I agree. It's not necessarily about age. It's about ideas. And if you have old ideas and you're 25 years old, I don't want you there anymore. It just doesn't matter to me.
Exactly right. That was what the whole case against Trump should have been.
Right. Thank you so very much, my friend. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Allison, and to your wonderful audience. Yeah, Trump was running on, 90-year-old Herbert Hoover economics. Like, the Republicans are always running on the old ideas.
He's running on the Laffer curve. Still, to this day. I can't. I just can't. But my friend, it's so good to see you. Stuff that they would call something DOO economics when I was a kid watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they still can't let it go. That's a problem. But I appreciate you. As always, everybody get your copy of Separation of Church and Hate. If you haven't gotten it already, you can also listen to John read it to you in your ears as you fall to sleep at night. And then, of course, check out Tell Me Everything on SiriusXM Progress, channel 127, weeknights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. John Fugelsang podcast, John Fugelsang Substack, coming soon, John Fugelsang air fresheners. And
That's right.
You're everywhere, my friend. Hey, how's that pay-per-view coming along?
Oh, the pay-per-view just aired last weekend. Folks want to check it out. It's live in D.C., the Separation of Church and Hate Tour with special guest Mr. Glenn Kirshner, who's a riot. And you can check that out in front of a rapturously wonderful audience at Meathook, meethook.live/JF, meethook.live/JF. And there's all kind of packages, and they get copies of the book and all that other fun stuff, too. Thank you so much, Allison. And I just remind you, Ted Cruz apparently is going to be running for president. So comedy is still safe. The only man in politics who thinks public humiliation counts as cardio. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, you're welcome. And remember, the meat in Meat Hook is like a meat cute and not like the meat that we're being tariffed for that they want to, Appreciate all of your time talking to me today, and we will see you next time on Fugelsang Friday, my good friend. And everybody else, I've got good news for you. Just stick around right after this quick break. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news? Everyone? Then good news, everyone.
And if you have any good news at all or a good trouble suggestion you'd like to send in, or maybe a confession or a correction, especially pronunciation correction, send that to us for the good news segment. And the good news can be tiny, it can be huge, it can be recent, it can be in the distant past. It doesn't matter. We want to share in your good news. We need to microdose hope right now. You can also send a shout out to, I don't know, your spouse or sibling, family member, friend, loved one, small business in your area that could use a boost, or a food bank that's helping folks out. Any great nonprofit you want to shine a light on, we would love to talk about them. You can also do a self shout out, which we love very much, a shout out to a government program that's helped you or a loved one. Anything that you can think of, we would love to hear from you. So send it to us, dailybeanspod.com. Click on contact. And then, of course, to get your submission read on the air, you just have to pay your pod pet tariff, which means attach a photo of your pet. If you want us to guess the breeds in your shelter pup, we can try to do that. We're not very good, but it's fun anyway, and we like to try. If you don't have a pet, send an adoptable pet in your area. If you don't have that, really, just any photo of anything. It doesn't matter. Grab an animal photo off the internet, send a family photo in, show us what you dressed up for Halloween. What are you growing in your garden, what you're making, what you're creating, knitting, crocheting, quilting, textiles, painting. We've got a couple people who throw clay pots on a wheel. With anything at all, send it to us, dailybeanspod.com, and click on contact. All right, first up is your good trouble. The Department of Education has a proposal out that will deem nursing not a skilled profession. Among the consequences of this gem are the fact that nursing education past the BSN level will no longer be eligible for student loans. Are you fucking kidding me? Did we just not see the value of the ICU and other highly skilled nurses up close during COVID? Remember when they had the great idea to fill the Superdome with beds and ventilators as people were dropping like flies until they realized, oh shit, we need people who actually know how to run them? So please call your representatives, ask them to include nurses as a skilled professionals we are. Healthcare in America is bewildering enough. Navigating it all without educated nurses on your side would be like Lord of the Flies. I'm the president of my school's nursing alumni board, and our dean revealed at a meeting tonight that when contacted by the school's attorneys, congressional reps didn't even know this was happening. So let's make them aware. With a shortage of 300,000 nurses right now, a need for more nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, nurse midwives, nurse anesthetists. Is that how you say that?
I think.
Anesthesiologist?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I would have done. I would have gone for the long route this time.
Anesthetists. Sorry, Dana, that one could be a tongue twister. And nurse leaders and researchers. Nurses are a skilled profession. We need to be eligible for student loans to learn these skills. Here is the bill info, and we'll have a link in the show notes. Pod pet tax is Clementine, a 10-year-old gal adoptable from Silver Lining Senior Dog Rescue in Central Oregon. Her breeds are listed on her profile. Can you guess what she is? Here's the link. All right, let's see. Oh, there's Clementine. Clementine looks like is it Clementine we're looking at here? Yeah. Looks like a lab Aussie, I don't know, Rottweiler? Let's see.
Maybe.
Oh, Alaskan Malamute lab.
Okay.
She's 106 pounds. She's a big girl, that Malamute in her. Anyway, thank you for that good trouble, and thanks for being a nurse. We really appreciate your service.
Indeed. All right. This one's from Anonymous, pronouncing him. This past weekend, the ruby red town I moved back to in 2021 had a full-on protest against fascism. On Saturday, a small group of 80 people stood on Main Street on the lawn of the Bandera County Courthouse with signs all clearly stating the terrible policies of the current administration. I wasn't part of the protest, but I drove through town just by chance as the protest took place, and it was awesome. Not so awesome was a counter-protest of people with their giant Trump flags attached to every corner of their truck beds. The counter-protest actually made a flyer, and it referred to their protest as being, and I quote, anti-commie. Good, we have something in common. For the first 3 years of living in Bandera, Texas, after living most of my life in San Diego, California, I thought I was alone with my wife as the only blue dots in a sea of crimson. Then we kept discovering entire families and generations of people who are not just blue, but progressive and a lot like me in ideology. In fact, Bandera has its very own resistance group that meets once a month at the local brewery. Oh, yeah, good place to meet. Not only that, through my kids' school and soccer league, we encountered even more liberals and like-minded people in this rural town. I suddenly enjoyed living here, knowing that not everybody is MAGA, but it was hard to ever know that when the homes are all miles apart. For my pod pet tariff is the best photo I could get of my kitten. This is Tangaroa.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, I guess you know I name all my pets after Disney things, of course. He's the enchanted tiki room tree, Tangaroa. A neighbor heard his cries for 3 days in her hay barn before she found him. Mom and the rest of the litter were nowhere to be found. So this lady brought him to us with a can of formula and asked if we could take care of him for a little while. So a month and a half later, I guess we have him forever. I suppose you can guess his breed from the photo, but doesn't matter. His breed is free.
Look at this little baby.
Little Siamese kitty.
Oh, let's see what we got. Most likely Siamese.
Look at me
Sorry
guessing
about that.
kitties.
You're guessing cat breeds. Awesome. Well, that's so cool when you start finding all these other blue dots in the Red Sea. Sorry you had to leave San Diego, but that's really, really nice to know that you're not alone and that you all hang out at the brewery.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right. Next up from AC, pronouns she and her. Shout out to my amazing, lovely, talented wife for finally starting her own practice, which has led to the opportunity for her to be the child abuse advocate for the large school district in our valley. I won't mention it so I don't dox them. She is able to confront lying abusers who have done heinous things to kids with cool, calm, calculated precision to catch them and bring them to justice. After 16 years in the ER, had forged her into the woman of steel. I could not be more proud of her. She is my real-life, bona fide hero. Attached is a picture of our boys, Dante and Virgil. Great, that's great. Unfortunately, Virgil went last week to wait for us at the Rainbow Bridge. But little brother Dante has handled it well and works hard every day to cuddle and heal our hearts. Dante is a Boston Terrier Chihuahua Chow Chow Sheltie. The nose gives it away. And Virgie was a Chihuahua Shar-Pei mix. They were both rescues. And our producers, you should have put those behind some black redaction boxes so we could have guessed. But look at these babies.
No.
Oh, lovely. A great shout out. Thank you, AC.
All right. This is from Will, pronouns he, him. Dear benevolent ones, I have a gentle correction to make Dana. Dana called Kash Patel a douche, but I disagree. A douche serves a purpose and is useful. I would say more like an enema, since he's full of shit. For my pod pet tariff, I've attached pictures of my dog Dexter, named after the TV show because he's a serial killer of plushies. I love
the way you said that too. Of plushies.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I really like that comforter or that blanket or whatever that is. This little dachshund is on. Very, very cool. Enemas are useful too, but yeah, full of shit. Definitely. Will, thank you for that. Emma Lee, no pronouns. I wanted to submit a shout out to my awesome husband of 45 years. We have collected Christmas houses, etc. for years with no regard to theme or scale. Needless to say, the display takes up a lot of room, but not this year. Check out the Christmas tree he made.
That's awesome.
I've been a long-time listener since the kitchen table days, and I credit you for keeping me informed as well as sharing all the good. So thank you. For Pod Pet Tax, I gave you the late, great Jake. Best boy ever. So he built a tree that's actually a shelf for all the little holiday village stuff that look at the top with the Santa sled.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's impressive. People are impressive.
Look at this doggo. Ha ha. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
All right. This is from Maggie, pronouns she and her. Love you, love you, love you both. The Beanstalk videos are next level. It feels more personal seeing your lovely faces. I had a great week. I'm in charge of my Indivisible Group's food donation boxes at 2 locations in my tiny central New York town, population 890. I check the boxes and take the donations to the Rural Services Center. On my first delivery to Rural Services, I learned their website was down and they were frustrated. As a novelist and blogger, I've had to tinker with my own websites a lot. Mostly just stumble around trying things until something works, but still, I had a feeling I might be able to help, so I offered. It took several tries over a week, and there were about an hour and a half where I seriously thought I'd fucked it up far worse than it had already been and wondered why I'd tried when I only just barely know what I'm doing. But then The internet gods smiled, and like magic, the website went live. Mission accomplished. I just feel so good about this. I had to share, and I'm glad you did. For my pod tariff, here are 2 shots of my problem child, Roxanne, whose breed you can probably guess, but don't be fooled. In the first photo, she's wearing a fake lion's mane. The second is her true self. Oh,
don't be fooled. I was pretty
mastiff.
fooled. I was pretty fooled. Yeah, this English Mastiff baby is gorgeous. Loves the snow or hates it. I can't tell. They always have the same face. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Maggie. That's amazing that you fixed their website for them. Good job. Next up from Atlas. Greetings, oh wondrous beans. Thank you both for all you do. Your advocacy and levity are a beacon of light in this foggy, turbulent soup. My good news is, you're a good writer, Atlas. My good news is a request to support a campaign raising money to fund the spay of over 200 dogs in the underserved community of El Centro. With 1 vet in the region, the street dog population has exploded. This is their site. We're going to have a link in the show notes. This winter, the Space Project, SPAYCE, the Space Project, together with Thrive Animal Rescue and the Humane Society of Imperial County, is stepping in to spay and neuter 200 dogs by the end of the year. Each dog will receive pain meds, antibiotics, a microchip, a complete start toward breaking the cycle and a healthier, safer life. The more we raise during this campaign, the more dogs will be fixed. My recent 5th rescue, Toast, see pod tags below, a twice pregnant mama, is a Thrive rescue. When she was spayed, her surgeon reported that her uterus was so fragile that another pregnancy would have killed her.
Wow.
I cannot imagine the suffering these street dogs endure. Please help if you're able. Another amazing org, postfire.org. If you or anyone you know lost a home in the LA fires, the post-fire folks have done the legwork to help you navigate the nightmare. After losing 2 homes to the fires, these community advocates turned their despair into service. And the last shout out is mine. I was a resident of Incorporated Joshua Tree. We are desert candy for grifty developers. Learn more about and help support our neighborhood advocacy and legal challenge fighting this egregious 64-unit gated hypocrisy at stoplovemoreranch.com. Thank you so much, Atlas. Look at the mama.
I can't. It literally looks like these dogs morph from one breed to another.
I know.
You look at them.
Start with a terrier and go to a dachshund into a Jack Russell and into a beagle or something. They're just
they're adorable.
So cute. And then look at that beautiful photo of the dog walking in Joshua Tree. Gorgeous.
Oh.
Thank
Amazing.
you for that.
Thank you. This is from Catherine, pronoun she and her. Hi, Beans Queens. One Christmas, in my quest to cut down on gift wrapping and the need for wrap, I got creative by wrapping gifts with other gifts. Seen here the year I used gifts of flannel shirts and or PJs to wrap other gifts to my kids, high school and college aged at the time. We've always saved bows and ribbons, so I had a large enough collection of ribbons to color coordinate with said flannels. Turned out to be pretty good looking under the tree and pretty hilarious when the gifts were opened. My pet tariff this week is a pic of when I was babysitting my grandson. My son, daughter-in-law, and grandson had just added a kitten to the family. Little Phoebe is a sweet love bug cuddler. My grandson and I were watching a YouTube trucks channel. Grandson is enthralled and Phoebe is cozy and content. Both my son and I are allergic to cats, but this little girl is getting fed some special probiotic food that reduces the protein in her saliva and thus reduces the allergen to humans. What? Yeah. I'm happy to report that this sweet kitty spent plenty of time on my lap or my shoulder, playing and cuddling after my grandson was tucked into bed. I literally haven't touched a cat in over 40 years due to my allergy, yet I had no reaction that evening. Wow. And who knew kittens were so fun? I was smitten with Phoebe. Grandson is pretty great too, by the way. Thanks for all you do. I'm a daily listener and often laugh out loud as I walk the dogs and listen to the beans. Love, Catherine. Those presents do look fantastic.
Yeah, those are great. What a great idea. Look at the boy and his kitten. Aw, adorable. Oh, the holidays. Here they come. I always I don't have to put up my Christmas lights because I leave them up all year. So that's one less thing I have to do at the holidays is put up my Christmas lights on my house. Thank you all so much for sending your good news. A great way to end the week. It's been a week of ups and downs, but we made it through, and we'll make it through next week too. Thank you so much, everybody. If you want to become a patron and support us, maybe see some of those videos before they go public, before our podcast goes public on December 1st, you can do that. Patreon.com/Mueller, She Wrote, or patreon.com/The Daily Beans. You can also sign up on Supercast, I think, but we really appreciate you sending in your good news. Please send us more at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. And thanks to John Fugelsang and his hair separately for joining us today. Do you have any final thoughts today, my friend?
I do not, my friend. Just everyone have a really great weekend.
Yeah, be safe and do something nice for yourself. We'll see you on Monday. Until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and take care of your family. I've been AG.
And I've been DG.
And them's the beans.
The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill, with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for The Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com.
MSW Media.